Welcome, everyone, back to the Sales Leaders Podcast. We have a very special guest today. This is Tara Mowat. She is the president and CEO of Logistics Alliance, a Canadian 4PL that helps major retailers, distributors, and their suppliers move freight smarter and more efficiently across the entire country. So she has a background in engineering, systems, and data. So Tara brings a unique blend of technical expertise and commercial insight to building scalable solutions that drive efficiency and customer value. So before joining Logistics Alliance, she worked in technology and management consulting with IBM, Accenture, and is an independent contractor across North America. So she's passionate about using data to make complex problems clearer and about leading culture grounded in collaboration, trust, and results. So super excited to have our guest here today, Tara. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks. Thanks for having me.
Yes, yes. So let's get right into it. I'm sure our viewers are going to definitely be interested in what you have to say. There's a lot of changes that are going on in your industry, you know.
Yeah.
So a lot of hurdles that you probably have had to overcome, but you made it on top. So let's talk about it. And without further ado, let's start with the first question I have for you, and it is like take us back to the beginning. What was the story of how you first started? What was your very first real sale?
Yeah. I, Logistics Alliance is actually my family's business. I joined about 13 years ago. The company itself has been around for 25 years and was started by my father. He asked me 13 years ago to come back and join, so I did. So if I'm going back to my first sale, I've got to really go back to my time spent at IBM, Accenture, and in the tech world. And I'd say those are where I did have my first sales. Different experiences in both places. I found a lot of times the best way to sell candidly was through the course of doing the delivery of a project. Quite often, you build a rapport with the clients. They'd ask you back. They want you back. They wanted you to help them to build the next thing they were trying to build. The other thing too that I found when I was working with both of those organizations is it's really where it taught me about the need to be able to explain the value you're bringing. And in some cases, you're painting a picture of something before it's even there and it's built. And I think I find that that's something that really helped me to hone that ability. So even now when I'm working with our clients and customers, I really try to emphasize, and I try to get my teams to emphasize, like, articulate this in a way that they understand it, use it, frame the data in a way that's meaningful to them. And I think that's really, really critical. And I know that my first experiences there really, really helped me to kind of hone that, I think, as a skill.
Love it. A lot of times salespeople, they approach things as talking about how great and fabulous they are, all the things that they can do and how wonderful their solutions are. But what you're saying is you're completely flipping it over and focusing entirely on the client. Of course, you want to get a sale, but at the end of the day, when you're dealing with larger ticket items, maybe multiple decision makers, complicated, complex selling cycles, you're hit the nail on the head. It has to be completely, at the end of the day, what's in it for the prospect, what's in it for the buyer. So that's awesome. Great. Now, okay, so when you look at your business today, what would you say growth means to you? Is it revenue, market share, size of your company, something else?
Definitely on a size of my company. I'm not looking to necessarily build, a company that's going to have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people necessarily. I think that's one of the things that's really unique about us is that, we're small and nimble. Uh, Certainly revenue. I think market share is important. That's one of the key areas that I think we have the opportunity to grow because, really it's about us helping our clients capture market share. So a lot of them are trying to capture market share because it's going to mean that they can bring more value to all of their suppliers through the supply chain if we're able to capture the efficiencies. So I think that that's really important for us, and that's a place where we've been able to grow. And candidly, like when it comes to the bottom line, I think it's important for us to just figure out how to do things smarter. And, that is really a big key component to the way that I think we're going to grow as an organization. Is really just how do we do things in a, better, quicker, smarter, better service, providing the win-wins for our customers and clients.
Absolutely. And things, especially in the modern selling arena, things are changing constantly. So what may have worked 20 years, 13 years ago, how may not have worked 10 years after that. What worked even 3 years ago may not even be working now or as effectively and efficiently as it could. So, yeah, totally the constant need to be on top of things, not being completely, inundated with all these flashy new things, but reevaluating processes to be as effective and efficient as possible. And that's great. So, I mean, based on that, what would you say then your vision is for the next 3 to 5 years? And when I say the next 3 to 5 years, I'm more specifically concerned of each of those 3 to 5 years. What do you think, your vision is for each of those consecutive years?
Yeah, I mean, I think right now it's certainly this year we have a pretty good pipeline of opportunity, right? And so one of the things that we need to do is figure out how we can capture it, and that's really unique for us because of the way we work with the retail clients that we do. We're not out hunting for leads, right? So candidly, this year and even probably the year after, it's going to be about us basically trying to go out and capture as many of those leads as possible and then support getting those customers up and running in some of the programs that we're running. Probably looking out, maybe the fourth or fifth year, I think there's some new revenue streams just in terms of some of the technology we're building out and some of the other value added services that I think we'll be looking to try and maybe capitalize on a little bit more. But right now, candidly, like we are in a pretty unique position that um, we have a full pipeline. And so what I'm trying to do now is just put the right people in place to go out and capture it, capture
Totally.
the volume, the opportunities.
Yeah, and that can be stressful for some people when they know that they're sitting on a gold mine of opportunity, but how do we effectively and efficiently approach that,
Yes.
so that we can flip those into really meaningful conversations and next steps, right? Next step sales conversations, right? So yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, like, what would you say that your commitment level is for that vision and why?
We're incredibly committed to that vision. I mean, it's just, that's the important part. That's the reason why we have clients that have partnered with us is because they're looking for us to support them in terms of growing out their programs and everything. We really, because we've been doing this for so long, candidly, we're very fortunate because we've had the opportunity to work with a number of retailers in the Canadian space, and it's also meant that we have been able to develop some pretty long-standing relationships with the supplier community out there. And it's really through those relationships that we've been able, if we if a project ends or something finishes up with one client, a lot of times we've got the relationship with the supplier who's saying, "Where are you going next? Let us go
Mhm,
with you. Let us come along." And because they know what we're bringing them in terms of service, and
mhm,
that is an important part of the value that we bring. It is. We're not just trying to pitch something transactionally. We're trying to make sure that our customers understand. We're trying to do the right thing for them. And it makes the whole thing easier in terms of selling when they know and there's that trust there that you're not going to be leading them astray. And there's this win-win that you want for both sides, not
mhm,
just one side versus the other.
totally. Yeah, so and that can be a touchy topic for some people, not saying it's you, it's, We have clients right now, we're doing great work, but is there an opportunity to go in there and ask them other questions to find out if they are facing any problems
Yes.
that they may not know? And I'm not saying this to you, that they may not know that you can even provide solutions to.
Yeah.
Find out problems that they're facing so that you could help them fix them, right?
Yeah, and we've had a lot of success doing that through the years. Candidly, we've been a little bit like, who's that kid in the cereal? It's like, let's get Mikey. He'll try anything, right?
Yeah,
We tend to be that for our clients because, especially these big companies, right? They're very rigid, and it's difficult to put, sort of. Um, they want to try new things, but it takes a lot of time for them to get the investments and the organization and everybody to rally around that stuff. And so that is where we've been able to also provide value because um we're willing to try. And again, it goes back to being, sort of that nimble organization. And if we know it's going to bring value to our clients, we are willing to go out and do what we need to do to support them because we're trying to build that win-win.
totally. Makes sense. Alrighty. So, in terms of, you mentioned that you are in a situation where you're already getting leads or you already have a pipeline. It's
Yes.
great. A lot of people don't have that situation. But how would you say that it's different from when you first started in terms of generating new leads?
I think when we first started, going back some years, we didn't have the reputation and we didn't have the longstanding relationships with the customers. So, now, like candidly, I have customers who've literally worked with Logistics Alliance for 20 years. So when you've got those kind of relationships, when you start to pivot and you start to do new things, it does really give you some credibility with them to be in a position to say, I'm trying this new thing, or I've started this new relationship with this new retailer or this new, opportunity. Would you like to, take a look at how it might work for us? So I think that's where we have and we are able now that we weren't necessarily able to, several years back. um we were able to kind of leverage the relationships. And again, it's not, we're trying to make sure that when we do, we're doing it in a way that's bringing value. Like there's no sense us trying to, call somebody up and say, hey, you want to give this a bash, and have it not be something that's going to bring them any value either.
Right, right, makes sense. So, what would you say your biggest challenge is in turn? There's a lot going on in the industry, especially your industry, right? It's tough.
Yeah.
What would you say the
Yeah.
challenges are for generating leads now?
Well, I mean, certainly there's a lot of uncertainty right now, right? Especially because of what's going on currently with between ourselves and the U.S. It's certainly, creating challenges within the industry for a lot of our carrier partners and our suppliers to the retail clients. Like everybody's in a bit of a limbo land. I think technology is the other thing, right? I think technology and our ability to, leverage things like AI and figure out how these things can bring value. Those are going to be really important for us to kind of figure out over the next little bit. So
Absolutely. Okay. So, you built a very substantial business here, have a really great reputation, and are continuing to grow. But every business does have a messy middle, right? And that's what we're here. That's what our podcast we do focus on, not just the wins, but the struggles that you have to go to get to the wins. So, can you share a time where a deal or a hire or a strategy didn't go as planned, and what did you learn from it?
yeah, I love that you're using the term messy middle actually, because funny enough, my HR team, we've used that
Really?
in the last few years as we've kind of described what we've been going through as an organization. Because we have been moving some pieces around and we have been putting in some new systems and rejigging our organization to be more effective, candidly. And it has been tough. I mean, it's been tough to kind of you know, skill up people, look at things in a new way when you've done it the way you have for so long, find the right things to sort of, change as far as systems and
Mhm.
some of that stuff is concerned. we have been going through the messy middle. I'd say we're coming out of it in the last year or so, but the messy middle was definitely a mantra that, probably for the last couple years we have been, it's 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 been the way it's resonated the best with our team to talk about the changes that we've been going through.
And no doubt it has with many other businesses in Ontario and Canada, no doubt. All right. So if you look at the next 12 to 24 months, what would you say is like realistically the biggest growth opportunity or transformation opportunity you see? And you mentioned some things about technology, effectiveness of people. Also, what would you say is the biggest risk?
It's that as well, right? Um, it's funny, even going back to my tech days, you can build the best system in the world, but if you don't have the right change management strategy around it to have people adopt what you're asking them to do, you're doomed to fail. So I think that while technology is giving us the best opportunity, it's also the biggest risk if we don't have the right, um, change management strategy, if we don't get the team coming on board. I'm trying to be very deliberate in the way that we look at automating things as well. I don't want to automate everything out of the gate. Like, we're trying to take it in phases that are meaningful chunks, which will have a meaningful impact on our business, but also at the same time, give our team the opportunity to kind of go through the phases and sort of come on board and grow along with us. Because I think that if we don't, then you could end up leaving people behind, and um, without that adoption, again, the best system in the world isn't going to help.
Yeah. Yeah, and people learn at different stages too. So
Yes.
it's not just about, oh, this is what you're going to do, go do it. You got to fully understand people's your team members' motivations, their values, right? What
Yes.
their goals are, and then connect it to the actual business development behavior,
Yeah.
right? Because
Absolutely.
of course, people that have been in a company for a long time, they do have a concern about the company, the well being. But at the end of the day, they're not entirely doing it for the company's reasons. It's also for their own reasons, which is
Yes.
fine. Just figuring out how to tie their values with the behavior that they're doing for business, and that can really unlock a lot of, as I'm sure you know, unlock a lot of productivity. So, since this is a sales podcast, how are you approaching sales effectiveness training, both for yourself and for your team? And the reason why I want to ask this is a lot of businesses, a couple things, maybe they didn't need to do sales effectiveness training. Maybe they were in a situation where it was almost like a gravy train. People are coming in, they're taking orders and banging out jobs, and that's amazing. And some businesses, uh, they are still doing very successful, but it's never enough, right? They're the innovators. It's never enough, which is amazing. So, how are you approaching sales effectiveness and development, both for yourself as a sales leader, whether you like
Hmm.
it or not,
Yeah.
and for your individuals?
Yeah, I mean, I belong to some industry organizations and stuff, and any chance I have the opportunity to do something like go to a course on tough negotiation or any of those other things, I do that. And I like to try and bring my senior leadership team when I can to those kind of opportunities as well. We've done a lot of stuff where we try to immerse the team to understand, sort of um, we have them go down to the dock and see what's happening in the operations, and so that when they're speaking about these things, they actually understand it. Partnering them up with people that might have some more experience in the field so that they're going to be comfortable articulating, what the value is, or understanding the problems, right, within supply chain, certainly if they're not people that have worked in the industry for as long as some of the rest of us have. So it's really kind of that. I agree with you, though. I think there's always an opportunity to learn, and we're going to continue to do what we can to continue to develop our sales team, give them the right skills so that they're able to go out and articulate the value for us.
Awesome. That's great. And behavior change doesn't happen in a weekend, right? It's
I
ongoing.
know.
There needs to be accountability. There needs to be ongoing reinforcement. Generally, it starts from the top, reinforcing and holding people accountable. And it's tough, right?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
tough when you have to hold someone accountable, right?
100%. Yeah, it really makes you think about things. Otherwise, how can you do it, right?
Right.
You gotta have it well thought out.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, when you are actually hiring salespeople, right? Because salespeople can be one of the hardest hires
Yes.
because they look good in an interview, they look great on paper, but oftentimes when the rubber hits the asphalt and they actually have to do the behavior, do the sales behavior, that could be a bit uncomfortable. What are some of the greatest challenges that you've experienced so far?
Candidly, I mean, we're having a really hard time. If I put salespeople into like a couple of different buckets, right?
Sure.
You got the hunters, and then you've got
Yep.
more of the farmers who cultivate and continue to like grow relationships. Hunters are tough to find, like good hunters. And those are the ones that I think you're talking about where, you know, though they have to, can't have anxiety, can't be afraid to go out and make the calls, especially for us with the pipeline that we have. I would tell you it's been a real challenge to find the hunters. The other thing too is keeping the sales team sort of divided between those two groups.
Hmm.
We do have a division of, the folks that are out selling and then the folks who would be sort of more in the account management
Hmm.
space, right? And sometimes you get the people who are out selling and they don't want to give up the relationship or they view it as giving up the relationship to now hand it over to somebody else to be taking care of it day to day, and that's tough to get past too, because every salesperson prides themselves on the relationships that they've been able to cultivate and stuff. But I think it's so important that, we figure out the right way to kind of get everybody excited about the fact that, you can go out and you can be a hunter and you're not giving up the relationship if you're making sure that you've set it up for a successful transition to this other group who are going to candidly do a better job quite often of giving your client the care and attention they need as they're starting now to transact and do business on a day-to-day basis with the company. So that's sort of been a struggle, there's no doubt about it. And finding, like I say, those hunters that are willing to go out and just
Yeah.
get the business.
One of the hardest thing to hire, a salesperson, right? One of the hardest roles to hire.
Yeah.
And, a lot of people, a lot of business owners, they're starting to realize it to your point. Yeah, it's very important to have a hunter, but sometimes, the client service, because they have some of the best relationships with the client, they actually have more opportunity to recognize cross-selling and upselling opportunities. Maybe they don't feel comfortable doing it, or that's not their role, to actually, pursue the sale, but at least they can refer it to the
Yes.
salesperson, right? So
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's great. Now,
Yeah.
when like so what is the most important thing that you're looking for in a hunter? And how do you generally set them up for success?
So we got to give them clear targets. That's been important. You can't hold somebody accountable for going out and hunting for business if you're not actually making sure that you've give them clear pipeline, what the expectation is. Incentives have been critical, making sure that you've got the right incentives out there that really motivate your sales team to want to do all the things they need to do and to turn over those leads to turn them into new business. So I think those have been the important thing. And then, as I say, this whole thing of like setting up our team so that we had the two distinct, you
Mhm.
know, the people that are selling versus the people that are continuing to cultivate the relationships. And that's been really, really, really critical.
Makes sense, makes sense. So, when you're thinking about your own leadership, you got a ton of experience here. What would you say has been the hardest adjustment that you've had to make as the company has grown?
Getting out of the weeds. So just because of my background and I tend to like to get down into the weeds. So that's been something that I've really struggled with.
And what do you
And
mean by getting out of the weeds? Like, can you give me an
well,
example?
like I'm the first person who will be like, "Oh, they're having a problem with that report," or, "Oh, this data doesn't look quite right," and I'll want to dive in there and
Okay.
figure it out.
Yep.
Sometimes that makes sense, sometimes it doesn't.
Hmm.
So there's really this knowing when to kind of give people the vision and give them what you're trying to build, and then knowing when to step back and give them the opportunity to do it. That I think has been a challenge for me, candidly. Um, yeah, it's something that I will try to work on every day, but I realize that it's going to be critical to make sure that the rest of my team have the opportunity to grow and you know um, get the same exposures that I was given.
Yep. And that can be some of the toughest kind of reins to let go as as a senior leader because it's like you just want to do it yourself, do it fast.
That's right.
But you only have so much energy. You almost only have so much focus. So delegating tasks from some of the conversations I've had, it's tough,
Yeah,
especially when it's your baby, right? It's tough to delegate
absolutely.
tasks. Yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah.
totally.
Yeah.
Okay, so I mean, this has been very insightful, but like if you could kind of narrow it all down and give one piece of advice to an
Mhm.
Ontario business owner who's either hit a growth ceiling or is feels maybe some discomfort around the uncertainty, even though they've been in business for quite some time, like what would that piece of advice be?
I think it's really important to kinda take a step back and to understand what your company's strengths are, and then candidly, like, we had to look at this too. It's like, are you actually playing to your strengths? Are you doing the things that you're best at, And, um, are you articulating the value that you bring well enough? And so I think that's important. For me, it's been like facts and data and learning to frame data the right way and all of those kinds of things that help with, bringing that story to life in terms of your value. So I think that that's important for everybody to do. I think if you're passionate and you understand the value you bring, then it just makes it more fun and more compelling to go out and sell. And so that's what I would say is that especially if you've hit a ceiling and you think you're in a rut, like step back and evaluate. Like are you really doing all the things you could be doing, or are there some other strengths out there that you could be turning into an opportunity?
Absolutely, and you know what, we love that. So the whole goal is to how can people have be more effective in their sales roles with less stress, with less work, and have less wasted work, and
Yeah.
have more fun doing it, right?
Yeah. Yep.
And
Yeah.
because that's important. You spend so much time at work. The least thing you want to do is actually feel excited and be
Oh,
empowered, right?
100%.
So that's great.
100%. Yeah.
Well, hey, Tara, I really appreciate this. This is super insightful. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people that are watching this that definitely resonate with it. So I appreciate your time, and we'll talk soon.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Thank you.